Welcome to Day Zero. Welcome to Day Zero. Today I'm joined with Jacques, one of the co-founders of Realbase, and he's on to his next venture, Kinso. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Mate, let's go back to the origin story, firstly, of Realbase, but pre-acquisition and when you're starting it with your other two brothers. Give us a little bit of the background of the story of you, what you were doing prior to Realbase, until that exit as well.
Real Hub was the original business. It started pretty simply. We started as signboard and brochure printers. So like the most boring basic business you can imagine, like literally putting up the signs ourselves. But my eldest brother was like a super smart software engineer. He's been coding since he was like 12 years old.
Yeah.
And we noticed there was a real problem, right? Like this was pre-Canva days. So you couldn't like design an artwork and print it online.
Yeah.
And that became the catalyst for building Real Hub.
And so the problem within that, like let's use an example for listeners who aren't familiar with Real Hub. McGrath, pretty big customer of yours.
Yeah.
How many variations of the templates and designs?
It can be hundreds.
Yeah.
Hundreds. So you're building templates and then making them as easy as possible for the customers to use. That's the big difficult point.
So you go from the three of you in a garage down in Melbourne at the time, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
With you and Franco running around and putting signboards.
Yeah, so I was
up.
actually in Sydney doing signboards here and they were in Melbourne.
Yeah.
So then we merged our businesses together. So we kind of started off separate ways. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that actually.
Yeah.
And then fast forward 3-4 years, you've merged with Campaign Track, your largest competitor, who, if I understand it correctly, just walked into your office one day and said, "Do you guys want to merge?"
Yeah. Yeah.
You merge those two businesses, you quickly overnight become a 50% market share, 1 in 2 transactions in all of Australia, residential listings and commercial with a separate market share there, going through the platform.
Yeah.
The team is how many people?
I think we peaked out somewhere around 400 at one point. But to give you some context, pre-merger, Campaign Track had more employees than we had as a combined entity post-merger. So they were a massive company.
Yeah.
When they came to us for merger, we were about a team of about 50.
Yeah.
When we merged.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how did your leadership style change from going from 50 to then you're a C-suite co-founder of a 400-person organization?
Yeah, I think it changed, but quite subtly at first. Like I think there's always a danger when you get big that all of a sudden you're C-suite and you're away from everything.
Yeah.
My style, and I think our style as brothers, is always to be quite close into details.
Yeah.
But you can't do everything anymore. So in the beginning, when you're a team of 10, you can be the biggest contributor.
Yeah.
Like me and Frank used to always joke, like we're going to be the biggest ticket solvers this week and do support tickets. And we'd race each other who can do the most support tickets. But you can't do that at a scale of 400 people. You'd be sitting in front of your computer all day. So you've got to kind of naturally progress into, instead of being the biggest performer yourself, you have to then lift people up. And a lot of the time it's just getting out of their way and allowing them to make a mistake. Because as a founder, you're like, you want to have the keys to the castle. If you make a mistake, it's like, I'll wear the brunt of that mistake. And you've got to like let people come up and take ownership.
Yeah.
And it's actually really hard because you have a bit of an identity crisis. Because all of a sudden you're not like the superhero that comes and saves the day, and you're not like the problem solver anymore. You're kind of like at an arm's length of everything.
Yeah.
And so that's really challenging. You've got to kind of change from like a doer to a bit of a coach and performance coach.
Yeah. I remember the same feeling when we got to like a team of kind of 50 and you're coming off the tools completely and you're almost watching a train wreck about to happen with throwing in team members and you're like, I can see they're going to make a mistake here, but actually I shouldn't intervene. Let them make the mistake, let them learn from
feel
it.
the pain.
And feel the pain.
Yeah.
But the other thing that we used to do a lot of is it was fine to kind of make a mistake, but sit down, analyze why it happened, build a process around it so it doesn't happen again.
Yeah. And you realize how quickly, how bad your processes are when you take yourself out.
100%.
And you're like, oh, I just know that. But it's like, I haven't documented it there. I haven't written it down anywhere. How am I expecting someone else to come in and just understand this? I've got like 5 years of context before they've got it, like any understanding. So it's a good opportunity to be like, oh, this whole thing is just built on matchsticks right now. I got to make it rock solid.
So the other thing we also found out was often, like support tickets, for example, our version of that was like contract uploads, which is a version of templates similar to what you guys are doing. And I was like, I can do 40 in a day. I think I'm pretty good at it. And then you hire someone with capability in that particular discipline and you're like, wow, I was actually really bad at it too.
Yes.
And you start to have a bit of self-awareness to your point of like, maybe I actually wasn't the best person for that particular task anymore, but you think that you are at the time.
Exactly.
And then talk to us. So you scale up the business, you've merged because you've agitated your largest competitor to a point where they're like, we don't somewhat give up, but we recognize that we've got a legitimate competitor in these guys. You're three young guys, they're obviously in their 40s, 50s. They don't want to compete as hard as you at that time. You merge, and then a couple of years later, Domain acquires the business, which I was fortunate to be on the other side doing the DD with you guys as well and doing the negotiation, which is how we got to know each other. You know, when you sold that business, what was the feeling like? And was it what you thought it was going to be at that time, or was it?
It's a funny process, right? Because when you do business and you go all in on a business, it becomes again like your entire identity. Like I was the worst guy to bring to a barbecue because all I want to talk about is business, and if people aren't talking about stuff, I'm mute out, right? I'm wearing a Real Hub shirt every day; it's my uniform. And then to go from like this is my entire life to then you leave, you exit. All of a sudden you got no emails and you're just like, who am I as a person?
Yeah.
And so a lot of it's like, it's relief and you're excited, but then again, it's like figuring out who you are, like, what do you want to achieve? Like what's next in life? Like, so there's a bit of like, again, a bit of an identity crisis that happens.
Yeah.
Because when you're exiting a business, as you know, it is all consuming. Because on one end, you're running the actual company, and then on the other end, you're running towards like a goal of an exit. Yeah. And you've got to juggle these two things at the same time. It's the most intense period of your life. And then transaction finishes and it's done. It's over. And you've just like, wow. And so you've got to kind of figure out who you are again in a weird way.
Yeah. And for listeners, like what all in looked like for you guys is you sold everything, even your apartment. You and Frank sold it and moved in together with your partners. Yeah. You're both grinding it out, doing 70-hour weeks as well. And you both still have the same partners who have gone through that whole grind with you, like, and the toll it takes on them as well.
When I was negotiating the deal, like I remember we went to a dinner with you guys in Domain and we're sitting there talking about numbers. And I remember like we were talking about like all these execs, and I was sat at that dinner and I was like, this is crazy. Then I went home to a 2-bedroom apartment and slept on the floor in the living room because I was sleep training my kids. And so on one end, you're negotiating this multi-million-dollar sale, but then your reality is just like 2-bedroom apartment. So like the contrast was huge. Yeah. And you've got to like keep your nerve because realistically, like we had put everything into that business. We didn't have any like fallback money. We didn't take dividends. We were just like, it was all in.
All reinvested every year.
Let it ride. Double up, let it ride. And you're just continually putting the money into the business.
Yeah. And so after you exit, you make the decision that you got to leave Domain and leave Realbase. What was that like for you? On like first day out of the business, you wake up, you don't have a job to go to. What did you do? Because I know you had a bit of time off between then and like you and Franco kicking around a variety of different ideas.
Yeah, so like the whole process, I wanted to pay back like the debt I'd built up in my life. Like I'd like let my health suffer a bit. Like I was, you're redlining for so long. You're like adrenaline is all you're living on. Yeah. I wanted to put in the time with my family. So I wanted to give a block of time where I'm like, my business and my like identity is family and health. That's all I'm going to focus on and treat it like it's a job. Yeah. So like picking up the kids and dropping them at school, that's my job. I have to be there every day without excuses. Exercising is the same thing. Like I would train for marathons. I wanted to put that same energy and effort into that block of my life because that's now become the foundation for this next phase of my life. It's like those two things are non-negotiable now.
Yeah. And then the sustainability and kind of foundational way.
Exactly. Because I was young. I was like, whatever, I'll just redline it. Right. Yeah. Like I'm young enough. I've got the energy. I'll just redline the shit out of this thing. But I don't think I can do another business in that same format. I'm getting older.
Totally.
Kids.
And I think you start to realize that your health is more important. It's one thing you can't trade off as well.
Exactly.
So coming into that and kind of learning from the lessons past of the last business, I'll ask you a controversial question a different way is what are some of the things that you were like, I will absolutely not make that mistake again in this new business. Yeah. That you've all of a sudden you found yourself in. And I've found the same thing as well. Like you give advice to other people and then you find yourself in a moment, you're like, I'm exactly where I told someone not to be. I need to extract myself back out of this moment or this component of problem I'm trying to solve as well.
Yeah. I think there's one really new problem that's started to bubble up for me. And that is when you don't have money, you make really tight decisions. Now, I've swung the other way where we've got money and I throw money at problems, but it's a mistake because I actually don't understand the problem fully and I throw money at it. And then we come back a month later, I'm like, that was a fucking waste of money. Yeah. I didn't get the result I wanted because I didn't get close enough to it and understand like what are options. Like, you know, like you don't get quotes or pricing on things because you're just like, yeah, we'll just throw money at it and keep moving fast. So that's like one of the issues I've really noticed, and I'm trying to like refine myself because in the days of Real Hub, bootstrapped, every dollar was a massive debate to 100%. The point of like exhaustion though, because we're arguing about a $60 TPG broadband bill, and I'm like, this is a waste of our time. But it just built this discipline where now I'm just like, we're throwing money at it. And it's like I got to find that middle ground there. The other one that I find is like really important, and I'm getting better, but I still make this mistake, is how important it is to build a team in the early days. And I mean, like if you do a bad hire, like getting that person out of your business as quickly as possible is still the toughest discussion you can have. Okay. Like it doesn't matter how many people I say, I was like, hire slow and fire fast. And then you sit there and you have that discussion about, hey, you're not right for this business. It's still something that I'm like, I keep making that mistake and I push it off and I push it off. But like, if you think about it, if you have a team of 5 and there's one bad person, that's 20% of your business is rotten.
Exactly.
So you have to be like comfortable with those awkward conversations, and I'm not there yet.
Yeah, it's such a hard thing, and like you coach it, you try, and when you've got bigger teams, you're like coaching the managers within your team, like you've got to do it quickly, act fast, because it acts like cancer or runs through the whole team.
It's easy to have that opinion if you're not the one in the room having the conversation. But like when you're sitting there, it's like,
there's still a human on the other side of it. And we've had a little bit of that already in our business as well. It's like you avoid the conversation until the point you're like, I cannot avoid this anymore.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about the new venture, Kinso, and what's the problem that you're trying to solve?
Yeah, so this is a problem we were having in the early days of Realbase. Like when we merged, had a team of 400 people. Like one of the things we noticed was the chaos in communication. So on one end, we're dealing with customers all the time. We're setting them up, we're onboarding them. There's a bunch of communication with multiple people in the offices.
Yeah,
and then internally, we're having emails, Slacks. There's all this communication that's going on everywhere. Like Slack, I've got PTSD of that Slack channel pinging, and then someone asks for something. I'm like, you asked for this up there. Like, let me just comment where you asked for it a week ago.
Yeah.
And there's this communication layer in business, and as a founder, that is the most important part of your business. Everything comes from communication, but it's so fragmented. And exiting and then doing like this little bit of a social media side quest.
Yeah.
It was compounded, and I kind of started to notice the same problems, but now business is happening in Instagram DMs.
Yeah.
Like we exited our business because we got a really good broker, got a great result. That came through as a LinkedIn cold DM on a random Wednesday.
Yeah.
If Frank didn't see that LinkedIn DM and get that broker, we wouldn't have had the same process and the success of selling the business. And so that's where we sort of sparked this thing. It's like, well, how do you just aggregate all of that into one seamless environment where you can see everything that's coming in, right?
Yeah.
And you can prioritize things correctly. And then when AI started booming, we're like, well, that solves the problem because it's all unstructured. But if you have this AI layer that understands you, your priorities, the context of our relationships, cold DMs like, oh, that's actually a person that can help you with what you're prioritizing right now, which is exiting your business or hiring a senior engineer or whatever it may be. AI can understand patterns. AI can help you like prioritize things. And it was just like this moment where like, well, it makes so much sense to approach this now because of this like AI wave, because it creates a way to really work with unstructured, chaotic data and get good insights from it.
It's such an interesting, like I'm finding that as well at the moment where the team have started to push it onto socials. We're doing stuff across LinkedIn, but then you've got WhatsApp, Slack, you've got everything firing.
Yeah.
I actually turn off notifications for a few hours a day because otherwise it's just like focus. Constantly coming in.
Yeah. And then, but I'm also like, what am I missing? Like, I'm also like, what am I missing out there? Exactly. Like, it's like, I got to find this needle in a haystack. And a great recruiter reaches out on LinkedIn that gets us our literal best hire. And I'm like, damn, if I didn't see that, because I'm just getting spammed on LinkedIn with a bunch of nonsense. We didn't see that. We miss out on, and it's like these sliding doors moments that if you miss a piece of communication, like the trajectory of your business can change.
So true. Like even on LinkedIn, we had one the other day where person's reached out to us to come and speak at a conference, like 100,000 people in Saudi Arabia. It was via LinkedIn.
Yeah,
and
it's just a random bloke.
If you didn't check it,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
the opportunities that you missed that aren't in there.
Yeah.
And the majority of the time, your subconscious is like, there's a lot of crap that's just coming in there.
Yeah.
And you've got to filter through it to see that and make sure that you don't miss things like that as well.
Yeah.
What are some of the things you've learned? And we were just talking about before we started the podcast of like 15 years ago, 10 years ago when you started Real Hub versus now. What do you think the moat is for businesses, particularly venture-backed businesses where you're throwing large pieces of capital at it to try and accelerate the growth rate, to try and leapfrog ahead of a traditional business like what you guys are doing?
Yeah.
What do you think's changed over like the last decade?
I think everything's changed like fundamentally. Like we were saying earlier, like tech isn't as much of a moat. So you could build a business over 10 years ago and just the amount of features you've developed over time, it's like a nice, robust platform that a new entrant can't just go and copy because it's going to take years and years of figuring it out. Now that's getting easier and will continue to get even easier over time. Like I'm seeing people vibe coding up apps and then that's a good enough prototype to get funding. And then that just accelerates things. And then, you know, they hire tons of engineers and then they build a really good platform very quickly. So the moat is now shifting more towards like attention, right? So like, can you generate attention for your brand or for your product? People, I don't know if you've seen like Cluely is a good example of this.
No, I haven't seen that. What is it?
It's like a university kid who made a little AI assistant for like cheating originally.
All right.
And it was like but the way he's so polarizing. People either hate him or they love him. And they're just generating billions of views on social media, enough to get like, I think it's A16Z investing $15 million in their product. Now they can hire engineers at $500,000 and build a real product. But it was all built around a scrappy little prototype using AI.
Yeah.
And then just this social media attention of being extremely like antagonistic in a way. We're going to help you cheat on exams. We're going to help you. Like, it's like a little helper. And it's like, people are like, this is crap. But it gets people going enough to get the attention of the investors. And now they can build a real business off the back of it. Yeah. Probably valued at 150 million. It's been going for 6 months. Like that is the kind of new environment that you have to get used to, because old school business operators, like you got to be like, no, it'll be on TikTok. Like I want to do that.
So I think for context for people listening is, did you have your own TikTok, Instagram, Facebook from a personal perspective in the last business?
No.
You've started it when?
January.
Yeah. And
I deleted everything. When I exited the business, I deleted my email, I deleted all my social media, and I went dark mode. And I'm like, I'm going to just focus on my family.
And then fast forward to now.
Now I'm on TikTok doing all the bloody skits and stuff.
Yeah. And how many views and
so
across the whole business?
Yeah, like one of the things I think that we're doing in a unique way that I think other businesses should do is treat your company a little bit like a TV show. There's multiple characters with different perspectives who attract different audiences. So instead of being the founder and I'm the guy and everyone is just in the company, giving everyone the ability to express themselves on social media as well, it creates like a bit of an interesting dynamic, a mosaic of your business.
Yeah.
And that's like something we're doing and we're really encouraging. But like across all platforms, I think we checked the other week, like monthly, the impressions are getting like 10 mil plus already. But a lot of it's coming from like the employees and stuff. And they're just pumping out stuff that's interesting to them, but then also just attracts a different type of person.
And that's building a huge audience that sits in behind. And I think what's something that I found interesting in chatting with some of the venture capital firms, to your point, was, 10 years ago, tech was the moat to what you were saying before. Now, tech is still important. It is proprietary and there's things unique that creates an asset, but actually brand and community. Yeah. It's almost like going back 20 years ago in what real estate traditional businesses were. It was like the brand was the thing that people came to work for. Yeah. It's almost coming full circle back to that as well, but using attention, to your point, to build a following that people buy into, maybe not you, maybe one of the employees, and how they're actually trajectorying through the business and creating a pathway and a career for themselves as well.
That's 100% right. Like people think social media is a way to like attract customers, but the flip side is it's an amazing way to attract people into your business as work, like want to be part of that journey. Like I want to work for you. Because they've already filtered through, like they understand who you are. So they're coming to you like not as a blank slate. They really know that they want to be part of this journey. They understand you as a person. And it's like, it's very easy to show your true self. And then you kind of like, you're skipping ahead in the relationship like 3 months by the time they walk in the door. And so it's like a great benefit that falls off the back of it.
And they've already bought in. They've got an idea of your culture. They know what they're coming into, a bit of an idea and insight into you. So, I guess the last question I'd have for you is sorry, let me do it again. I think the last question I've got for you is, we're really fortunate to have you as an investor, as a part of FOUNDIT. What attracted you to FOUNDIT, the opportunity and the problem we're trying to solve? What was the reason why you parted ways with some of that hard cash that you grinded out for?
It was you guys. I'd write you a check for anything. You could.
Oh, thank you.
Like, I mean, on one end, the founder is like one of the most important aspects for me. I know a lot of VCs will say this, like they index so heavily on the founder.
Yeah.
I really believe that. Like, you guys, you know the playbook. You've done it before.
Yeah.
Like, it's very clear that you know what you're doing. So anything you do, you'll be successful. So it's a really easy way to just be like, yeah, I know that's an easy check to write. The other thing that I found really compelling specifically about FOUNDIT is it's taking a process and bringing the data to the front, right? It's data-driven decision making, right? Yeah. Like, and AI plays into this so well. It's like
100%.
Treating an investment asset like people do with a stock portfolio.
Yeah.
Like you have to understand the data behind it. And literally there's been a gap. Like as a investor myself in property, it's exactly what I want, right? I want to do window shopping. I want to look at the suburb data. I want to look at the comparable sales. I want to look at all this rich data. It's just an interesting thing. Like, that's just me window shopping, looking at different suburbs, how they're performing. And then on top of that, you go through an experience that's fully custom and catered so that it's like from end to end, from just window shopping to execution of the sale. It's perfect technologies in the background, absolutely cranking. That's like, for me, is the most compelling reason as well.
Yeah, I think it's so interesting as we've got into it. You know, the way we talk about it with some investors has been like, we had one the other day, he's like, guy running a hedge fund, very successful, was bought a property recently for like over $10 million. And he was saying to us, oh my God, like, I actually did buy this house on a handful of comparable sales. And actually I did more DD on my fridge than I did on the house that I bought.
Yes,
and he's had that like light bulb moment of like, and he's actually like, can you just go back and retrospectively do me a report
so
to just check
feel justified in my decision?
Yeah. And even I've done that as well. I've got a research team to go back and actually do it for my property, because I was like, I didn't check some of these things that I probably should have.
Yeah. It's crazy because it's too fragmented. It's too hard to find. Like, and it's all varied. Like, I look at suburb data from REA and I look at suburb data from someone else. The stats are different. I'm like, what's the actual source of truth? And then I only get a small piece of what I want to know.
Yeah, the way we talk about it often is like, the way people have bought property over the last 20 years has not changed. Like, you think about it, 20 years ago, you bought on a handful of comparable sales, but the house is worth 100 grand and you could repay that mortgage on average within 6.5 to 7 years. Fast forward today, that house is now worth multiple millions of dollars. The mortgage repayment is often 25 to 30 years, yet you still trade on a handful of comparable sales. Like, it's completely out of whack.
Yeah. So true. You go to one open home, you go, I love it. Let's go.
And lastly, what's one piece of advice that you give to another founder who's starting business from scratch?
Good question. I think the most delicate time when you're starting a business is the beginning, because it's just a seedling of an idea, and you will be attacked from every angle around your little seedling of an idea. You've got investors telling you, I don't think this has got enough moat. I don't think this has got enough of a possibility of being $1 billion business. You've got your friends and family saying to you, like, are you sure you want to take that risk? And so the best piece of advice I have for a founder is to protect that belief and don't let anyone in the early days chip away at it. Like, I've noticed this, like, we exited a company successfully. Like, that is a good story. Start a new business and I get the exact same things. People literally say to me like, oh, are you sure that's a good idea? What about when ChatGPT just rolls you? Like, and it's the same thing. And I'm like, imagine if I didn't have the previous success to know what this journey looks like. Imagine this is my first business and I'm sitting there with this idea that I want to pursue, and you're just getting chipped away and chipped away and chipped away. And it's like, you have to have that internal belief to literally block out all the bullshit and keep going. Because I see it so often. People start, it's great, everyone goes, cool. And then 6 months later, they give up because it's like they got chipped away.
100%. I completely agree. I think one of the things is like, you've got to have blind belief that there's a problem that is worth solving.
Yeah.
Where you start versus where you finish are two completely different places.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the process of making sure you stay close to the customer, that you believe in what you're doing, and actually listened to them. To your point of what you and Frank did, is stayed on the cold front, close to the customer with 400 people behind you, so that you knew what the next feature was that you had to release based on the problem that a client was having.
That's exactly right. Like, pick a person and obsess over them and solve their problems. And exactly to your point, where you start, we started out putting signboards in the ground. That is not where we ended up. And it's in the same industry, in the same customer type, but the problems you just keep growing and you're changing and you're addressing them. And you can end up like we're doing proposals. Like it's a mobile software. Like, and I think that's the most important thing. Like, people try and like extrapolate too far out. And like, you know, you talk to an investor and they say, this isn't going to be $1 billion business, but like addressing that customer's pain point, you might find in this journey that $1 billion business.
100%.
So,
Jacques, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.